is up, YouTube? It's your girl Majestic Madness 15, and we're back at it again with another video. And this time, I'm back to talk about these Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. I told you guys I would come back and give you guys my full review, my thoughts. Do I like them? Do I not? Are they my new daily drivers? All of that information, and that is what we're here for today. Now, before I even get into it, I did not expect to get so much love and so many comments on that last video, so thank you so much. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. I am new to unboxing and reviewing, even though I've been playing around with technology like my entire life. I'm new to actually talking about it outside of, my friends who typically don't really care how in depth I go. So welcome, and I hope that you enjoy. I saw a lot of people who had said that their Galaxy Buds 3 Pro or even the regular Galaxy Buds 3 had been delayed due to the quality issues, and some people who were excited to get them and wanted to know how they were going to work. So this is my thoughts. These are my reviews. I did pay for these myself. I actually did not buy them with the intention of unboxing them, but it just felt like the right thing to do. So these really are just my thoughts from using them for the last 2.5 weeks, almost 3. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I love these things. I love them so much. They very easily became my daily driver. I have not touched my AirPods since I received them, since I unboxed them. I have only been using these, and I have kind of been in a, I guess, lucky testing scenario in which I actually did a lot of traveling. So I got to try them 4 times on 2 different trips on planes. I got to try them with the wrong size ear tips and the correct size ear tips. So I really got to see kind of that contrast and that difference of how does this feel when you're flying and you actually have the right ear tips in. Now, when you unbox them, from the jump, they come with the medium ear tips in. And in my first video, which you can see, I put those medium ear tips in and they felt fine. They felt comfortable. But the first time I flew with them, I could definitely tell that the right earbud was just slipping just a little bit. And when I had both earbuds in and I'm trying to watch something, I could kind of tell that the seal just wasn't 100% in my right ear. I could get a little bit of air. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough for me to keep adjusting them to see if, these might not be the right ear tips, these might not be the right size, or maybe it's the pressure. Next time I flew, I did happen to swap them out for the large ear tips, and world of a difference. I was listening to music. When the plane took off, I was able to put it in ANC and turn the volume to 50-60% and still drown out the entire plane. Couldn't hear anything. Second time I flew, I was watching something, and again, couldn't hear anything on the plane outside of what I was watching. So I will say, once you get the right ear tips, the golden. The only thing I have not really had an opportunity to do is hardcore workout on them, run on the treadmill, go on the elliptical, and see if I have to adjust them in those type of scenarios. But I mean, I've walked, I've lightly jogged as I ran after a bus to try to catch it, and no issues, no slipping. I've walked around with them at an airport, I've walked around with them in DC, and nothing. I've had no issues ever since I switched to the right ear tips. Now, I know that one of the big issues with the quality control was the tearing of the earbuds or the silicone caps. And I will say, unlike the AirPods Pro 2, these things seem to be welded on shut. I would demonstrate taking them on and off, but given that I have figured out my perfect size, I definitely do not want to risk ripping them. But it took a lot of force in order to get those earbuds off, or get the ear tips off. And since I know that there is an issue with the quality control, I was still trying to be very careful with how I gripped them, how I pulled them, as to not tear them. And I didn't, thankfully. I did not tear the medium ones, but I can honestly see how people would be tearing them, and hopefully they make them a little more sturdy in these quality control issues. Because when it comes to the AirPods, which these are the AirPods, right? Like these babies, barely any effort, just pop on and off, stick back on, just grab it, pop it right off. No, like when it came to the Galaxy Buds Pro 3, I honestly felt like I was like holding on to them for dear life. I made sure to like, and please, if you have them, this method worked for me. I do not want to say that this is the only method that works in case they rip, but I had to like make sure I pulled this all the way back, and I just tried to grip it right at the stand instead of like pulling out here. I tried to grip it and pull it like right from the stand as to, you know, try not to tear them. So again, because I know that there's a quality issue, and as of right now I have not seen a solution to said quality issue, I don't necessarily want to take mine off. These are my only pair of Galaxy Buds. So, but yeah, I definitely see how, with how tight they are onto the earbud, I can see how people are tearing them, especially if you're expecting them to kind of pull apart the way that AirPods do. Yeah, there are a lot of new features in these earbuds. They're not necessarily new features if you have come from a pair of AirPods Pro 2 or even a pair of AirPods Pro, but if you came from the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, there are a lot of new features in these earbuds that I have very much liked. There's a lot, and I will say I have been using this on a variety of different devices. As I mentioned in my last video, my daily driver is my Galaxy S24 Plus, but I've also been using it on my iPad Pro 2nd edition and my Asus Zephyrus G13, which is my laptop of choice. I've been using it on all of these different devices because I use all of these to watch content. And one of the biggest things that I end up using my headphones for is, of course, I use it to listen to content, but I also use them to watch different content. So I kind of made sure that I tried it in a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different applications, a lot of different devices, just to kind of get a good idea of how do these work if you're using a Samsung device, how do they work if you're not, how do they work on a regular laptop, how do they work on a browser, how do they work in an application. And I will say it seems to be a very cohesiveness as far as how they work on each device. Now, because they are geared towards, you know, Android devices, not even just Samsung devices, but Android devices, you do need the Galaxy Wearable app in order to fully customize and use all of the settings that these earbuds have to offer. Unfortunately, Apple does not have an updated version of the Galaxy Wearable app. They have an old version for older earbuds, like the Buds Live and like the Buds Plus, and then they have like an older version for like older Samsung watches. As of right now, they do not have an updated version of the app, so you're kind of stuck with out of the box settings if you have an Apple device and you're thinking about getting these earbuds. But as long as you have an Android device of some sort, you can download the Galaxy Wearable app. You can actually customize and change the settings on these. I will say the only Android devices I do have at this very moment is a Samsung phone. So if I am wrong regarding the Galaxy Wearable app, please leave me a comment down below. But it's my understanding that it works the same regardless of which Android device you're using, but I could be wrong. Please let me know and I will make a correction either in another video or in a short, but that is my understanding. It has a lot of settings. I really appreciate it. You have 4 different modes as far as whether it's ambient or active noise cancellation or off. I don't understand which people use these types of headphones and just set it to off. but I don't. My actual favorite mode is the adaptive mode, which was a mode that I had found on the AirPods Pro 2. I've had the original pair of AirPods Pro. Those did not have an adaptive mode, but that was my favorite mode on this one. And I was so excited to find that these had an adaptive mode as well, which basically puts your headphones in ambient mode until it hears any type of loud noise and drowns everything out. So as I stated in my previous video, I'm a curly girl. I like to watch content or listen to music when I'm doing my hair because it takes time. Blow drying my hair takes time. Whether it's curly, whether it's straight, it's gonna take a moment. So the best way of being able to do things is watching things, and in between blow drying, in between starting and stopping and styling and all of that stuff, I like to just be able to have the ANC kick in when I need it and turn off when I don't. And that has been my go-to mode ever since I got these. I will say, like, when I got on a plane, I will just go ahead and turn the ANC on, but sometimes I'll just leave it. I think the first flight I was on, I just kind of left it alone and just let it do its thing. Now, I did find, which I love the most, because as everybody knows, Apple does not like to play well with others. So there's a lot of settings, there's a lot of features that they just completely cut out if you're not using an Apple device. One of those features is the kind of continuous playing. It's when, or the stopping when you take an earbud out. Anytime you take an earbud out and you're using an Apple device, it'll automatically pause your music, pause your video, pause whatever you're doing. And it was nice to have that feature when I got these, because I'm not one of those people who like to use the kind of like speech mode that hears that you're talking and automatically lowers the volume or turns on the ANC so that you can actually have a conversation. I like to sing when I have my headphones in, and it's very disruptive when the audio just kind of goes down because you're singing, right? I'll do chores, I'll sing, I'll listen to my music. So when I do end up talking to somebody or somebody comes up and talks to me, I'll just take a headphone out real quick, say whatever I have to say, put it right back in, or I will pause it. That is not a feature that works unless you pay for some of these apps, which honestly, some of these third-party apps to help control your AirPods are not great. I've never wanted the feature enough to pay for it for an app that's already not that great. So the fact that this just came with it, I was very happy about that. And on top of that, I have noticed that that feature does continuously work on my iPad. I've used my iPad as my main source of entertainment when I have been traveling recently, and I will watch content. I've used it on Hulu, I've used it on Netflix, I've used it on Peacock, I've used it on Xfinity Stream. I've used it on a lot of different apps, and no matter what, anytime that I take my earbud out, it would automatically pause whatever I was watching. It takes a couple of seconds, whether you're listening to music or watching something, before it cuts out, because I think it really wants to make sure, and this goes for the phone too, I think it really wants to make sure you actually took the earbud out, but once it's out of your ear, it'll pause, regardless of the device that you're using. I cannot say so much for the laptop, but definitely for the iPad and for the phone, it'll pause no matter what. You take your earbud out, it's gonna pause whatever you're watching, whatever you're listening to. I also kind of like the fact that whether I'm increasing the volume on the AirPod or on the phone, you could still see the volume dial going up and down. I will say that with the laptop, that is not necessarily the case. The AirPods will recognize that it is increasing the volume on my laptop, and you can see the volume slider, but these did not. They did not recognize that it would increase the volume, but I couldn't actually see the slider. So in instances of me doing my hair, it was a little frustrating because even though I need to increase the volume a little bit, I still don't want it at like 90 to 100%, right? And I can't actually see where on the slider I am. But that was kind of a small caveat. I just like the fact that, you know, for the first time across multiple devices, multiple different operating systems, I'm getting a lot of the same features on both instead of having to compromise. I'll also say that when it came to flying, when I was using the incorrect earbuds, there were times that it would actually pause the audio because it thought that the earbud had left my ear, when the reality was there was just not a good enough seal and it was slipping a little bit. So did not have that issue at all when it came to my second set of flights. When I had the large ear tips in, I had a much better seal, I had a much better time. Even when it came to my iPad, I didn't have to turn the volume up very loud. So, you know, as long, like I said, as long as you get the right seal, as long as you can get the right, like, just control in there, amazing. 10 out of 10. Now, to go a little bit into sound quality, one of the settings that I have a love-hate relationship with is the 360 audio. Initially, upon first using these earbuds, I made sure to have that turned on. That was a feature that I did somewhat like on the AirPods, but only worked when I was using an Apple device and I was listening to Apple Music, because they do have the spatial audio in some of their music files. So initially I did turn on the 360 audio, which I later found out does automatically turn off the Dolby Atmos. So, and it was okay. But for me personally, I find that the majority of the time when I'm sitting at my computer or I'm sitting at work, which are two of the main situations in which I'm using my earbuds, I'm actually sitting at an angle because my monitors are at an angle. They're not kind of straight head on. So I just always had uneven audio. And I felt like I was also experiencing that outside of listening to music. Like, I think it sometimes would seem like I was getting that uneven, like 360 audio on phone calls or just in other content, and I wasn't that big of a fan. So I turned that off. But the Galaxy wearable app does have an EQ in it. I have set mine to dynamic and I really liked it. Now, if you do like listening to spatial audio without the 360 on, but the Dolby Atmos on, and you use Apple Music, you will not get to use the spatial audio. It doesn't work. It will not do the head tracking. The only way to do it is to turn on the 360 audio and automatically turn off the Dolby Atmos. I kind of prefer hearing the Dolby Atmos. I fluctuate often between Spotify and Apple Music because I just cannot seem to figure out which one I like more. I think Spotify just works better, but over time Apple Music has been getting a better UI. I have a lot of local files in my Apple Music library, so I kind of fluctuate between the two often. Also, just the audio quality over on Apple Music just sounds so amazing, even in these headphones. So I've been testing out both of them. So if you have the Dolby Atmos on, those audio files are going to sound amazing. But Spotify still sounds very good, and I still very much enjoy listening to my music over there. Another interesting feature that I have grown to love is the voice controls. Now, it took me a couple times to really get it down. You do have to use their exact terminology in order to get it to work. But once you do, it's kind of cool. You can just tell it to raise the volume, lower the volume, next track, previous track, stop music, play music, as you see fit, in order to just not have to touch the ear stems or anything. Let's demonstrate that. I have found that it doesn't work every time. It took me a couple of times to really kind of get it down, but once you get it, it's actually kind of cool. Stop music. Play music. Next song. Previous song. Volume up. Volume down. So if you don't use the exact terminology that it asks you to use, it's not going to work. You have to make sure, and they do have all of the terminology actually listed in the voice controls setting, so you can see exactly how you have to say it. But once I kind of got it working, which I can definitely say it was user error. It was me saying the wrong phrase. But once I got it working, it was actually very helpful, especially when you're doing chores, you're walking around. You don't always want to touch your phone. You're not always in a situation where you can use the ear stems, but it's pretty amazing. Oh, and let me comment that you do not have to say, hey, in order to get it to work. You can just say the phrase. You can have it activated so that you use Bixby as a kind of key term to turn it on, or you can have it in the ear stems where you hold down an ear stem and then you can use the voice commands, but you don't actually have to connect it to any assistant. You can just say the words and it's going to work. Now, to compare it to the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, I honestly think that this is a major upgrade. Now, if you like that style, if you like the bean style that sits in your ears, don't upgrade. But if you're like me and you were struggling to keep those earbuds in, or even if you want different functionality or better functionality, honestly, I think this is truly a great upgrade, especially if Samsung is still offering $100 for you to send in your old Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. I like the fact that because it has this stem design, you know, you don't have a volume up ear and a volume down ear. You have you either slide either stem up or down. You pinch the buttons once, twice, 3 times, depending on what you're trying to do. I found that when I had my Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, and I kind of wish I still had them. I've already shipped them off to Samsung, so I can't show you guys anything. But when it came to it, you did have, you know, a special setting that if you tapped behind your ear, you could raise the volume up or down. But the right ear was only volume up and the left ear was only volume down. If you tapped the earbuds, which were extremely sensitive, if you tapped them once, it paused music. If you tapped them twice, it would do the next track. If you tapped them 3 times, it would do the previous track. Sometimes the tapping your ear, whether you did the back of your ear or the front of your ear for the volume, was a little finicky. Sometimes it would do it, sometimes it wouldn't. Again, I like to wear headphones when I'm doing my hair, and when my hair is wet, sometimes it would just hit those earbuds in the perfect way to either pause music continuously or only raise the volume or only lower the volume. You know, it was a lot harder to only operate on one earbud at a time because you could very easily just completely raise the volume up and down and then just kind of be stuck until you grabbed your phone again, which I think the whole purpose of adding these features is to try to keep you away from your phone. How do you get so much out of your earbuds that you don't have to touch your phone when you're listening to music, listening to a podcast, listening to anything, talking on the phone? You know, how I feel like that's sometimes the purpose of this functionality. And the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro made it difficult, even if you got them to fit in your ear. I've talked to somebody who had the exact same headphones as me, but just did not have an issue with keeping them in their ear. But they also said, you know, sometimes it's frustrating. Like sometimes I only have one of them in and I'm either only raising the volume by accident or I'm lowering the volume by accident. And there's really nothing I can do about that if I don't have both. So that was a big thing that I liked about the AirPods. Part of the reason I wanted to change from the AirPods Pro to the AirPods 2 Pro, one was USB-C because that's real, but 2 was actually the ability to raise and lower the volume straight from my headphones instead of my phone. I really liked that feature in my Galaxy 2 Pro, especially since I do go on walks. I walk dogs. And I don't always want to have to grab my phone to do things. But when your headphones don't fit in your ears, you kind of got to work with headphones that don't do all the things that you want. So I love the fact that these have been able to give me full functionality, everything that I need in headphones, whether I'm using an Apple device or an Android device. These have been great for me. The last thing I kind of want to bring up is this free case. For a case that is free, it's great. For a case that you have to buy, I would not recommend buying this case. I know a lot of people said that they pre-ordered and they missed out on the case. I'm going to be honest with you, you didn't really miss much. I have been using this case every day. I do like the fact that it has the latch that closes down, so you really don't have to worry about, you know, your headphones popping open and falling out, because that has definitely happened with cases that I've used for my AirPods before. And I like the fact that you can actually see the earbuds, but not only does it block the sync button for these Galaxy Buds are on the bottom. And the first time that you connect these to any device that is not a Samsung device, you need to be able to press that button. This perfectly, if you can't tell from the insert, perfectly conceals that button. So when the first time I connected it to my iPad, the first time I connected it to my laptop, I had to physically take these headphones out in order to access that button. And that is not an easy thing to do. If you can't tell, like, the lid really is on there. Like, there is no pulling this out. So you kind of have to grab the top, push this piece back while trying to hold on to this and pulling them apart to close. And then from the bottom, because the button is still concealed, from the bottom, pushing these up. It's not that it's a lot, it's just not convenient. And it's honestly annoying, especially if you don't predominantly own Samsung devices. Now, the nice part is once you've connected to a device one time and it's in your device's like Bluetooth setting, you don't have to press this button every time. If I just open my iPad and I click Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, it'll connect to them. I do have to do that, you know, again when I reconnect them to my phone, or I can just open them. It takes a little bit of time to wait for the pop-up to come up. Sometimes it is a little bit faster to just go in the settings and just click the earbuds, which I normally end up doing. But you know, any other device, as long as it's been connected once, I just have to select it in the Bluetooth menu. But to have to physically take these out every single time you want to connect it to a new device for the first time, it's a little frustrating. Like I said, I like the fact that you can actually see them, which is why I'm still using this case. I have yet to find a case that I actually like more visibly than this one, and luckily I think I'm pretty much at the point that I don't have any other devices that I really need to connect it to. But for anybody who did not get the free case, I promise you didn't miss much. You didn't miss much with this one. It's a nice little convenient thing to have, since it doesn't automatically come with a lanyard slot. And honestly, what I want this the most for is to be able to connect it to my keys. All in all, I really do not have many bad things to say about these. I'm fortunate enough that my LEDs on my headphones still, you know, they're still the same color. I know that was a common issue as well, that one of them would be dimmer than the others. But if I'm being honest, I don't pay attention to them because they're in my ears and typically covered by my hair. So it's not even something that I've really noticed. It's just a nice aesthetic. But all in all, I've been very happy with these. Even when I wasn't using the right ear tips for my ears, they were still very comfortable. It took me a good maybe like week for me to actually figure out that that size was not the best for me, and it was really only my right ear that it would slide just a little bit. I might have to adjust it a little bit, and that was mainly when I was flying. Outside of that, it's been great. Like I said, You know, the ANC is great. It really does block out everything that I need from a plane to a blow dryer. The ambient sound is great as well, which I typically like to use when I'm walking around outside, especially when I'm walking dogs. I do like, kind of similar to Bose Quiet Comfort headphones, if you guys have ever used those. It does have a slider for both the active noise cancellation and the ambient sound, so that you can actually pick how noise canceling you want it, how ambient you want the sound to be. I like that level of customization. I think that's what the AirPods are missing by not having their own designated app. I understand that they have settings in the Bluetooth section, but you can control some of the settings of these headphones in the Bluetooth section of a Samsung device. You can control even more in the Galaxy wearable app. So I think it just gives you a little more freedom. Some people don't really like active noise cancellation. They don't like being able to not hear what's around them. So to be able to have a slider to dictate how much is being blocked out and how much is not, or even for the ambient sound, I managed to turn mine down just a little bit because I almost felt like it was with it turned all the way up, it was just a little too ambient. Especially when I'm in like my office scenario and I'm really trying to hone in on my work. I want to be able to hear that somebody calls my name. I don't necessarily want to be able to hear the person clicking on their mouse right next to me. So I like that customization and that ability to really tailor these settings to you. So these really are my favorite headphones. I do not see myself changing to any other headphones. I honestly don't see myself even going back to my AirPods. I'll probably still keep these because I just like having a backup pair in case anything, happens. These have really won my heart. And if you're still waiting for yours or you have received yours, I'm really interested in what everybody has to say regarding their headphones. I'm really interested in what your thoughts are. What settings have you been using? How do you use them? What EQ are you using? I'm currently using the dynamic one. That's the one that just sounded the best to me. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What are your issues? Have you experienced any of the quality issues? Were you able to swap them out, or are you still waiting for them because of the quality issues? Did you get gray or did you get white? I'm really interested in what all of you guys have to say. I loved reading your comments. I love being able to talk to people regarding these headphones. I think that was what I wasn't expecting. So if I have swayed you into getting a pair of Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, please let me know. And if you got them and you don't like them, I would like to know that too. What should I be looking out for? What should I be changing? I'm novice when it comes to headphones. I just need them to fit in my ear. I need the ambient sound to be good. I need the active noise cancellation to be good in the situations that I really need them. And I just need them to not sound like a tin can. I'm not a big audiophile when it comes to, different scales or different tiers of headphones. So very much interested in what other people think. If you like this video, please make sure that you leave me a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment down below. Again, I say I'm really interested in what you guys have to say. I do have some more unboxings in the horizon, so I hope that you come back for another one. Subscribe to the channel so you know when the next one is dropped, and I'll catch you at the next video.